you excited for our next guest?
Well, that makes one of us. Ladies and gentlemen, Misha!
Usually I realize I wait a little longer to come out.
No shit.
And then it's like it's awkward.
Another half of the chorus, yeah.
Here while you're
Singing to you, yeah. It's a weird, yeah.
You notoriously will not show up for many verses, and I've had to go find you.
Normally, I always look at you longingly, but this time I had to do it in song.
There's a whole song that we haven't done in a long time called Where's Misha?
Right, I know.
I don't know. And that's not born out of comedy, it's born out of desperation to find a wayward actor.
Yeah.
You know? But you're here now.
I am here, and it's exciting to be here and to be, during the SAG strike, to be up here and be not talking about that thing which we will not name.
Right.
No.
That brought us together originally, but now which we are staunchly in opposition to.
Verboten, yeah.
It's that unspeakable thing
That unspeakable thing.
that will not go named.
No, it shan't be named. I think it's really cool of you, in the spirit of that, to add a new level of creativity to your panel by wearing chroma colored green, so that anybody filming or taking pictures today can put whatever they want on your torso. All you need is a basic After Effects program or anything you have on your home computer, and by God, you can be shirtless, you can be the Eiffel Tower.
You want to go ahead and give the name of the app?
You can be tattooed. I certainly will be doing that.
I'm glad you brought up the Eiffel Tower.
You're welcome.
Oh man, remember when that was a thing? We all had to do the Eiffel Tower on stage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, you put it out of your memory, but
I don't remember what you're talking about.
It's got weird.
Are you doing a joke?
No, I actually don't remember what you're talking about. What's the Eiffel Tower?
Don't
It's
ask.
really strange.
Don't ask.
You remember, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I don't use him as a solid resource.
Oh, you mean the guy that remembers everything? Sure, I'll ask you, Rich. What city is this?
What's the Eiffel Tower? Show us the Eiffel Tower.
No, fuck off. No.
Just Google Eiffel Tower.
Well, now I'm not going to Google Eiffel Tower. Now you creep me out.
On that note, Misha Collins, everyone.
People when they do this later. It won't make sense now, but it'll make sense once they do the After Effects. Ladies and gentlemen, a very shirtless Misha Collins.
I tolerate you too. There's something for everyone here. That's so nice.
Are you looking at the baby in the trench
The
coat?
baby does not tolerate, however. Oh. How has this been going? Now that we're doing a free-form discussion, how has this been going? Not being able to speak up as
Awesome.
Astrid.
It's been great!
It's better, isn't it? Well, it might have been the thing that originally brought us together, but now we can jettison that dead weight. And just speak freely about nothing. About After Effects. No, it's okay. It's okay. We all have heard a whimper or two. In fact, that's what my castmates used to sound like on set. It's just fine. It'll distract from the long and boring monologue that I'm about to do. God, now that we can't talk about the show, I don't know what to say. So we're organizing a little strike picket for the cast of All How do you say it? How do we say it? Without saying it. Anyway, we're organizing. Supernatural! Security! We're organizing a picket, and Eric Kripke is sort of headlining the organizing of this event. And he sent out a poster for us to all announce the picket that we're doing. It's like a little, PDF that he put together that has a gigantic, that word on the top. I was like, Eric, what are you trying to do? Get us in trouble with the union at the picket? We're advertising the picket, and we're going to get blacklisted by the I would like to tell you a short story, if that's right. Bear with me. So, I'm wearing a belt buckle right now that has a salmon on it, which has significant meaning to me for two reasons. One, for some reason, my son named my daughter, when he was a toddler and she was a baby, Sockeye. We have no idea where it came from, and it doesn't at all have any kind of similarities to her name, Mason. He called her Sockeye, and so it stuck. So it's symbolic in that sense. And then I was on a bike trip on the Olympic Peninsula with a friend of mine right before Mason was born. And we were like, we were on a long bike trip where we were camping day after day. We'd been riding all day, it was evening, and we were like, we should stop and get some salmon, because we finally came to this little town, there was a grocery store, and we'll cook it over the campfire tonight. And we went into the grocery store, and there was no salmon to be found. It was a really shitty little grocery outpost. It's okay, he doesn't speak yet, right? So we go into the store and ask this woman, like, there's no fish here. Do you know, is there anywhere in town where we can get some salmon? And she was like, no, this is the only grocery store, I'm sorry. Then we walked down the aisle, and a couple minutes later she caught up with us, and she was like, I'm sorry, I just felt really bad after you asked and walked away, because I have salmon in the trunk of my car. And I just felt like God would strike me down if I didn't tell you that I had salmon in my car. She had just been to the food bank, and a local fisherman had just caught a bunch of fresh salmon and delivered it to the food bank. And so she presented us with this beautiful fillet of salmon. And it was like, what? How did that happen? So she gave us some salmon, and then we rode up this mountain. We were coming down the mountain, and we decided, we looked at each other like, oh, we're gonna race. And we got up to about 55 miles an hour before we hit each other and had a horrible bike accident. And as it became clear that we were gonna fall, I looked at my friend and I said, I'm sorry, because it was my fault, and because we were gonna die. And as we were falling, it was that moment that you hear about, like, your life flashes before your eyes. And I had all of this time as I was falling to process my life, think about my kids, all the things that might have happened going forward had this moment not happened. Time literally slowed down. And it's the only time that I've ever had that experience. And then I remember falling and being like, I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive. When I finally stopped sliding on the pavement, I kind of stood up and was like, I can move, I can stand up, there was like blood all over the place. I saw my friend in a ditch like 20 yards away, unresponsive, also covered in blood. Long story short, actually long story pretty long. He had a terrible concussion. He didn't know where we were. He didn't know what year it was. And we're out in the boondocks. So this guy pulls up, and eventually, like 15 minutes later, this guy pulls up in this old Cadillac. The back seat was full of toilet paper because he'd just been to Costco. Which I know because when I said, can we get a ride? He said, no, I got all the stuff from Costco. And he just drove away. Oh my God. So we get, finally, somebody comes by. It's been like 45 minutes. Finally, someone comes with a pickup truck, throws our stuff in the back of the pickup truck, and drives us to the fire station. They get my friend on a stretcher. As soon as he got on a stretcher, I collapsed. I literally, my legs went out from under me because I'd been in shock, and the only thing that was sort of keeping me going was trying to get my friend taken care of. We go to the hospital. We discover our fucking fish tank. And it was like this immensely symbolic thing for both of us. We took away from it this lesson, like we have to really appreciate the gifts that we get in life. And we can't take things for granted. So we reference that over the years, that moment, and remind ourselves about the salmon. And I had a similar experience this morning, which was weird because I had just laid out my clothes. I was like, oh, the salmon belt buckle. And then I saw this. Sorry, this is also a slightly graphic segment of the story. I had a little pimple on my leg. It's like a little white head with a red around it. And I was like, ooh, gross. And so I did what any sane human would do, which was I squeezed it between my thumbnails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
And something happened. It popped. And this little tiny droplet, little yellow droplet, came into the air and toward my eye. And time literally stopped. I could see, in slow motion, and I could process what was about to happen, how my life was going to change forever, how I would remember this moment forever. And I didn't, all that, I didn't have time to blink. But it hit me in the eye. Not sure what the moral of the story is. I know there's one in there. As soon as it happened, I was like, that's the second time in my life where time slowed down. And I immediately thought of when I thought I was dying and when I was just about to be so grossed out. I'm sorry for sharing that. I know it was really graphic, and I wish I could undo it, but no, I don't.
No regrets.
Okay. Hi.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
No, whatever you do is just throwing me a lifeline, so I appreciate it.
So, my question for you is, if you hypothetically ended up in jail and had to call somebody to bail you out, what would they assume if it was for if they didn't know?
What would they assume I was in prison for if they didn't know?
Yeah, just in a holding cell, something like that.
Gosh, great question. I think that the assumption would be what I think people would immediately say is, how did this not happen before? I'm known in my friends its circle of friends for doing things that everyone thinks is not a good idea. And I've often been told, that's not legal. Probably some sort of illegal guerrilla art installation. I would say that's probably what it was. That or kidnapping. That was about time. Thank you for that insightful question.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll poll my friends and find out. Hi.
Hi. My question just left my head. Okay. As someone that's in the public eye and people form a lot of opinions about, what do you think people often get wrong and what do you think people often get right about you?
Whoa. Interesting, probing question. I think, well, I don't know. What does the public think about me? I don't know. I try to report it. They love me? Well, okay, that's nice. That's wrong.
You're a good human being. Yeah.
But I'm a good human being. Again, wrong. So, I think that probably I come across as fairly outgoing, but the first time that I got up on stage at my first convention, which was a creation convention in New Jersey, I was certain that it was going to be an absolute catastrophe. And what I was like, these people think that because I have done acting on camera, that somehow I'm able to speak in front of a large audience, which it's not the case. I was absolutely terrified. But there's something weird that happens when you repeatedly get up in front of people in this context, and it's, you stop caring. You give up. So I think I'm kind of shy. And I don't know that, I don't know how many people know that about me. My friends know it. I'm kind of an introvert. My castmates know that. They're like, where's Misha's probably off in some corner reading or something. And that's partly because I'm an introvert and, they're not great people. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Misha.
Hi.
My question is, who's a better actor to work with, Jensen or Jared?
Well, in fairness, actor is a strong word. It's a little bit tricky to say, because it's like picking between, two evils, but I'll give you a for instance. I've told this story before, but you can't get a refund. So we were doing this episode that was, I can't remember what it's called, but you'll remember. My Bloody Valentine. It was in season 3, and am I allowed to say the name of a...
Too late.
You messed it up.
Everybody delete your videos. I was talking about the song, My Bloody Valentine. That's right, the song. Not episode. That like one. So.
You said season 6?
Okay, so Jared, there's a scene, the character, I won't say the name of any of the characters, but the character that I was portraying came up to the table with a very gravelly voice. I think they have something to do here. And there was a we're in a morgue, and there was a table there with some human hearts on the table, and I came up to the table on one side, Jared and Jensen were on the other side, and I said, oh, my gravelly line, and the camera was over Jared and Jensen's shoulder to me, and I walked up to the table and started to say my line, and then I felt a broom handle in my crotch. And then I laughed, which is a natural, I think, reflex. It was Friday night, it was late, the crew wanted to go home. The director was like, okay, can we go again, please? So we did it again, and the first AD removed the broom from Jared's hand. But Jared does this thing, he is, it's like he's on stilts. He has these long, skinny legs that he can lift up very vertically without, he does this often he did this while we were filming. And if he's close enough, he can reach your crotch with his foot. So we did another take, and under the table, sorry, kid. And so I laughed again, and the director was like, oh, come on, Misha. He doesn't see what Jared's doing. He thinks I just am like thinking of something funny. And I'm like, it wasn't me, it wasn't. And then Jensen's, and I'm trying to deliver the line to Jared while he's doing this. Now, they put something under the table so that there's a barricade so he can't get in. I do the line, I do it again, and Jared is cross-eyed. And I laugh again. Then Jensen says, and the director and I are yelling at me, he comes into the room, he's like, dude, we have to get this shot. I don't have you at all clean on camera. And Jensen says, Misha, just say the line to me. And I'm like, thank you. So I come up to the table and I go, rah, rah, rah. And Jensen goes, and I laughed again. So I use this as to illustrate a point, which is that Jared is a monster. But the problem with Jensen is you think he's your friend. And then he stabs you in the back. So it's really hard to evaluate. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Misha. My name's April. We know that you work on multiple hobbies, such as woodworking, knitting, and pottery. Do you have a favorite art medium, or are you working on anything currently or something in the nearby future?
I have been doing a little bit of creative writing, which is something that, other than poetry, I haven't done in a long time. So I've been doing some like weird short stories, erotic fiction. I was in a woodworking shop 2 days ago, making a birthday present for one of my children. And I've been doing a little bit of painting and drawing, which I'm terrible at, but I have fun with anyway. It's weird, so there's a strike going on. I don't know if you've heard about it. And I am not gainfully employed, nor am I in the process of seeking employment. And I've actually been trying to just clear my schedule. But you know what really helps clear your schedule? COVID. It's the best. I got COVID a few weeks ago, and I was locked in my house by myself for a week, and I got all kinds of crap in that. It was kind of great. Now, COVID is not great all the time for everyone, but it happened to be just like a bad cold for me, and so I got a lot of that kind of hobby done. But I don't know what it is. There's something about working with my hands on something. It is can't work on this.
Daddy?
Hi, I'm Ollie, and I wanted to ask about Operation Stealth Nugget because I'm very confused.
Was that the tea party on the traffic island, or was that the?
No, that's the tree. Yeah.
This brings us back to the earlier question about what I would be arrested for. This is a great coincidence. So, Operation Stealth Nugget, one of my first guerrilla art installations. There was a traffic island at the intersection of Vermont Boulevard and Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And it was like one of those weird little traffic islands. It was a little bit of grass in a triangular space that was about, it was like maybe as long as this stage, and on the wide end it maybe as wide, and then it went to a triangle. And it was just overgrown with grass, and like shopping bags, like garbage strewn about it. And there was a forest fire in Griffith Park, which is just up the hill from there. And there were all of these big old trees that were killed by the fire. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if we cut down one of those trees, planted it in the traffic island, decorated it with lanterns, and put a plaque on it? And a bunch of my friends were like, nope, but that's not cool at all. But we'll do it with you anyway. So we rented a U-Haul and went up into Griffith Park with a chainsaw and reflective orange vests, so it looked like we were meant to be there. Cut down a fairly large tree, and then drove it down Vermont Boulevard from there. It stuck out, the branches were still on the tree, and it stuck out quite wide enough that it stopped the traffic in both directions. 2 lanes in each direction, and this vehicle had to go down the center of Vermont to get to the traffic island. Again, orange cones, reflective vests, dig a fairly deep hole, pour concrete, put the tree in it, then decorated it with solar lanterns, and then put up a little bronze plaque that I had made in advance, which said "Sapete Bene and Ora," which is a Latin phrase which you all know. And now we come in the mouth. And that was it.
How long did it take to cut down that tree?
The cutting down process, I think, was pretty quick. Yeah. Why, do you know someone who was involved in the project?
No, I just remember in the video it was like, it would say like 2 hours later and y'all were like still cutting.
That's right. Maybe we cut by hand on that one.
You did, yeah.
So there was another project where we brought a chainsaw into the project. Another project, I called the city. I said, now there's all these dead trees and I have something that I want to do. An art project, could I take some of the lumber? Because they had been at that point chipping it up, turning these beautiful redwoods into mulch. And she said, no, you may not pick any of the trees, and if you attempt to remove any of them, it's a felony. Which I felt sounded like a dare. That's when we brought the chainsaw in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Misha. What was your favorite subject in school?
I don't know. I liked not school. I wasn't. I guess it changed over time is the right answer. When I was younger, like 11, I kind of liked math because I was kind of good at it. And then by the time I was 14, I remember math class was impossible to stay awake in. I was like slapping my face, trying to stay awake. Did you ever fall asleep in class?
Yes.
I mean, I had to get up at least, I had to get up at like 5:30 to get to class on time. And I think that was not good for a teenager. But yeah, no, I wasn't a great student. I think that I was probably most interested in like English class in high school. I got more interested in that. I ended up, it was weird, in my high school, we were supposed to have a different teacher every year. That was just sort of part of the program. But because of how things got shuffled around, I got an English teacher 2 years in a row. And the second year in class, she took me aside for a little, like, just one-on-one evaluation. She said, you know, you've been my student for a couple of years, I can tell you, you're one of the slowest readers in the class. But I will tell you, I think that you're a better reader than writer. Wow! And that really stuck with me. It was a very inspiring moment for me. Yeah. I was lucky to have her for 2 years.
I'm Bree.
Hi, Bree.
I have a very deep question for you.
Okay.
Who's your favorite Teletubby?
How? I have a vague idea what a Teletubby is, but I don't know that I've ever watched Teletubbies. What's the most popular kids thing like that now? Bluey. So I just read this thing that Bluey, for Bluey, they have focus groups for everything that they put out. Do you know this? They have focus groups. They put toddlers in a room to watch their rough cut of the episode. And if they start to, like, their attention drifts away from the screen, if they're not just like, then they pump up the colors where the kids got distracted, or insert loud music or sounds at that point. Isn't that crazy? So they're actually, like, engineering it to completely captivate and brainwash babies. It's amazing. But why do you ask? Are you an aficionado, Teletubby enthusiast?
I was a Teletubby because of something you said.
Because of what?
I was a Teletubby in a photo op because of something you said, which I can no longer speak about.
What did I say?
You just laughed.
You can. I think you're allowed to say whatever you want, right? It's just me.
Oh,
well, are you a member of the Screen Actors Guild?
I was Poe.
Oh.
The red one with the circle.
Thank you for this. It's amazing that you can so quickly reference it.
That's my friend.
I remember. This was the day I bravely wore white pants.
You did.
Yeah. Okay, great. I still don't remember what you were referencing though.
Teletubbies. And the crossover.
Oh! Yes, thank you. Feels so good to have any idea what's going on.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. First I want to say I'm sure Bluey's spending lots of money on research, but back here just watching monster trucks. And
Equally absorbing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my question is, I know you do meditation, and I just recently started. When was the moment that you said, like, this is working, I'm going to keep doing it?
Good question. I think, I started, my first exposure to meditation really was at a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And so I kind of went in blind. I didn't really know what I was getting into. And it took me, like, after about 3 days, I thought I was losing my mind. The meditation style that I do, it's called Vipassana meditation, or insight meditation. And at these 10-day retreats, the first 3.5 days, you're supposed to just focus on the breath coming in and out of your nostrils. And every fiber of your being, after a few hours of that, is telling you, stop, do something else. And at one point on day 3, I was sitting there and I was trying to focus on my breathing, air going in and out of my nostrils, and I was like, come on, Misha, I couldn't do it for more than like 15 seconds without some other thought starting to drift through my head, some distraction. And I was like, so determined. Now I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna focus on my breath, no more thoughts. And there were the voice in my head finally shut off. And I had spent most of my life accompanied by my inner monologue talking to me all the time. Quite an annoying personality, actually. And I was like, oh my God, the voice stopped, said the voice. And then there was like this moment of like 20 seconds of just silence in my head and just me focusing on my breath. And I could feel like my body vibrating with excitement. It was like that first moment when I got up on a bicycle and I stayed on a bicycle and like stayed up. And then an image came into my head of a dolphin jumping into a taxi cab. And at that moment I realized I still had some work to do. But after that first 10 days, I came back and I felt like, oh, I feel different. This is going to be a feature of my life. And I meditated every day after that for an hour every morning for the next couple of years without missing a day. And I think that like gave me a little bit of a foundation. And I've been fairly steady with it in the last couple of years. It's hard when you have little kids.
I was about to say, do your kids do it with you?
You know, they have started sometimes sitting with me briefly, and I'll like lead them through a little guided meditation. 5 minutes is about all. What usually happens is I have let them know, you know, I need quiet time in the morning. I get up pretty early, so I'm usually up at like 5:30 or 6. And usually that gives me a window before the kids get up to do some meditating. But often they'll wake up before I'm done meditating, and I have this like little nook that I meditate in that's removed from the rest of the house. And they know that when I'm meditating, like I have to not talk and not be distracted. And so they will see me meditating and then run and jump on my lap. Invariably. And every time, I'm like, you know, honey, I can't meditate when you're jumping on my lap. And they're like, yeah, I know, Dad. Anyway, I'm going to go make breakfast. And then they'll pop back in a couple minutes later with a quick question. And my, of course, blood boils. I'm full of rage and hatred for them. It's a nice way to start the day of meditation. I'm centered and focused on my loathing of my children. But it's pretty cute when they try to meditate with me. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, Misha. My name is Alex.
Hi, Alex.
My question is, because of all the pranking with Jason and Jerry, how long did it take to film the longest scene?
I don't have an exact time for you, but there was this one scene that we were filming. I don't remember what season it was in. Leviathan season, I guess. 7th album, that's right. We were filming, they were messing with me, and it was like a level of relentless messing with me that was starting to get really frustrating and kind of upsetting. But my thing, this is just my thing, when I'm on camera and someone's messing with me, I can't not laugh. It's like being tickled, and it makes me crazy. And for a long time, I was trying not to laugh. Like the first few years, I was like, I'm gonna try to be like Jim Beaver, who obviously was lobotomized at some point. That guy, you could do anything to his crotch, and it was so fixed. Trust me, I've tried. And so he's served as this benchmark of what's possible. And eventually I just gave up. I was like trying to bite my cheeks, trying to our dolly operator at one point, Dave Reable, came up to me and he was like, Misha, can I just give you a tip? Something that I try when I'm trying not to laugh. This guy's like in his 50s, very serious. He's like, Misha, just think about when they're doing stuff, trying to mess with you, just think about how much you hate them. And I was like, how did you know? Anyway, nothing worked, and so I gave up. But then there was this one day where we were on location, and they were messing with me so much that the day was really stretching on. Like we had a hard cutoff. We could not go past 14 hours of filming. It was like a studio filming, and we were creeping up toward that mark. And if they kept messing with me, it was like we weren't going to make the day. And we're on location, which you can't like come back to a location when you don't have that rented for another day. Anyway, the crew was really enjoying it. There's a lot of us made it on the gag reel that year. But people who were on set called people back at the production offices and said, hey, you have to come down here. It's a real field day. They're really messing with Misha today. And so people drove over, and it was still going on when they got there. And they were like throwing paper airplanes into the scene and mocking me. And then I said, you know, if they told me in drama school that this I didn't go to drama school, I don't know why I said that. And Jared and Jackson were like, he went to drama school. That was captured on camera. And then finally, like, we turned around, and I was just like a husk at that point. I felt like I had been crying. I had been laughing for hours, but it was really crying. I was really crying on an emotional level. And to get back at them, I threw a paper airplane at them in the scene, but of course, the paper airplane just went and made it nowhere near them. And it sort of punctuated the day perfectly for me. It was so bad that the next day when we got to set, Jensen apologized. Aww. Yeah, it was that bad. Thanks.
Hi, Misha. I'm Andrea.
Hi.
Welcome to North Carolina again.
Thank you for having me
This
back.
is my first time.
Oh, well, welcome to your first time. How's it going?
It's going good.
Good.
Going good. Confusing.
It's confusing. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, that doesn't go away. It stays confusing. I'm still baffled by the whole thing up here. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, I'm new to acting on camera, and I wanted to know how you felt when you saw yourself when you were young in your career and now.
You made this gesture like I was a toddler.
Little guy.
Somehow I came across a clip of myself on Charmed. That was the first gig I got when I moved to Los Angeles. I'm not supposed to say that! This is hard! Charmed, I'm sure.
Charm necklace.
I'm charming.
Non-specific.
Yes. I was on this show with an actress named Alyssa Milano. And it was teed up to be this was my first real act, like, it was a guest star where I had lots of scenes. And it was the first significant role I had gotten. I had a couple of small parts in movies that I had gotten when I was still living on the East Coast. But this was my first job that I got after moving to LA. I'd been auditioning for 9 months and finally got something. And it was supposed to be an arc on the show where I was going to be Alyssa Milano's boyfriend. And one of the first days of shooting, they were like, okay, great, let's try that again. And Misha, you were nowhere near your mark. You got to hit your mark. And I looked around like, who's Mark? And why do you want me to hit it? I was just so green. I had no idea what was going on at all. And I was very nervous. And I had a kissing scene with Alyssa Milano. And she was like, you know, she was like the queen of the hive. She felt like she owned the place and everyone in it. And so she just did a little dance with her tongue in my mouth. And I was like, whoa, okay, it's on. And then that episode, they didn't call me again for another follow-up episode. And they cut the kissing scene out. Never made it to camera. Maybe because it was too graphic. But also possibly because they were like, this guy can't act his way out of a paper bag and it has a super squeaky voice. I sounded like if a field mouse could speak English. I was just so young and so baby-faced, and it was actually it was one of those things where I think at that stage, I was, in person I looked a little bit older, but on camera, I was like, that's a baby. It's an actual baby on camera. So it's, I guess I changed a bit. I still look very young, but but also kind of like 50-ish. It's weird though, aging, because it's a weird process for me, because I still think of myself as a child, but then I see a grizzled old man on camera, and it's quite confusing. But yeah, it's a strange experience watching yourself. I used to be really kind of uncomfortable about it. I remember I got onto a show that I won't name called 24, and I did a screening party for when my first scene came on that show, and I invited all my friends over. I thought this is gonna be fun, and then they all got there, and their TV was on, and I realized I can't watch myself on camera with my friends here, so I left. No way, this is terrible. Now I don't feel like that at all. Now I feel like I did this show last year, which was technically struck work, so I'm not allowed to speak about it, but its initials are GK. Yeah. And I was watching it with my kids, and I would come on screen, and they would immediately start talking to each other. And I would pause it, and I would rewind it, and I would say, shut your mouths, that's your father on camera. I'll leave your father on your television. Watch this. It's excellent. They were unimpressed, but I was quite impressed. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Hey, baby. That's my kid.
Aww. That's sweet. You're doing great. Just read.
I'm trying to read. Thank you. So my question is, what would your younger self think of yourself now and where you are today?
What would my younger self think of myself now?
Yes.
I have no idea. I think that when I was, I don't know. I mean, I think it would harken back to the previous question a little bit. I think that my younger self would have expected my 50-year-old self to have grown up a little bit. So my younger self might inquire, what happened here? Why are you still so childish in your own inner monologue? Are you having this experience?
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of experience.
Where you feel still like a child, emotionally?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Intellectually?
For sure. 100%.
Thank you for the reminder. I almost forgot to make a wish. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah! That was a pretty good timing answering that question.
That was a great timing about
Aging and still feeling young. So it doesn't matter you're 63 tomorrow or whatever.
Oh, thank you. Thank
No.
you. Thank you to the creation people who I know it wasn't actually my castmates who got that.
Oh, yeah.
I baked it with my own hands.
We've been in the kitchen for hours.
Thank you for thinking of that. That's very sweet.
And they're contractually obligated to do this on your birthday, but you're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Misha Collins. And next to the stage,